Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the Great Millstone of Roel. Peace and blessings, salutations to the Hope Collective Israel. Alright, I haven't watched this video, but we're going to watch it together because my spirit's focusing on the end times, man, because we are in those times, alright? This was posted over a month ago, but I feel it still is a credible video because all these historic floods and volcanoes, earthquakes, rain, like downpours, and you can see EU and NATO turning against America. You can see, all sorts of things going on, man. All right, so this is strange events happening worldwide. Earth is falling apart. We're in the end of Esau's reign, okay? So, all right, let's begin.
About some incredible video. This is from New Zealand.
Yeah, a huge sinkhole opened up on a farm this week. A volcanologist says it's the biggest he's ever seen in the country. There are reports that the sinkhole is about 656 feet wide and 65 feet deep.
Sinkhole which opened up on a New Zealand farm early last week. It's being called a spectacular development by geologists. That is because this enormous cavern that appeared in the ground exposed volcanic rock that is nearly 60,000 years old.
This is pretty spectacular. It's a lot bigger than the ones I've normally seen. What I see in the bottom of the hole is the original 60,000-year-old volcanic deposit that came out of this crater.
Sinking feeling setting
Slovakia.
in at the White House, literally a sinkhole just steps from the White House briefing room, and it's growing.
As of Tuesday, the White House sinkhole was still pretty small. It's since been covered with a board. A spokeswoman for the National Park Service says the agency is monitoring the hole and is working on a fix.
A neighborhood in Central Florida suddenly looks like the cratered lunar landscape.
People who live here say they started to notice something strange last week, what one resident described as water explosions coming from this now empty pond. It was these sinkholes opening up.
Sinkholes are opening up and forcing families from their homes. The problem is underground.
least a dozen sinkholes have opened up in the Central Florida subdivision over the past week, enough to drain an entire retention pond and force the evacuation of 8 nearby homes as a precaution.
We've been dealing with so much, scared to death to lose our home right now.
Crews are using underground radar going 80 to 100 feet deep to figure out a fix. Christina Carter moved here from Vermont last summer.
See, and now right now in Japan, there's a record-breaking downpour and flooding. They had there's over 100 people dead. I think the number is rising, or the number has risen. You know, that was just the latest I remember hearing. Because there's a lot of people missing because it was from a typhoon, I think.
Gets bigger every day. How far is this going to get? How big is it going to get? And nobody's telling us anything.
Just feet away from homes, multiple sinkholes popping up here in the Four Ranch community in Ocala.
A worst-case scenario is that these sinkholes continue to lose ground to the aquifer below, leaving open the possibility they could continue to grow and eventually merge.
What on earth happened to that thing?
I have no idea.
More activity from the Steamboat Geyser in Yellowstone National Park. The U.S. Geological Survey tweeted today that the geyser erupted for the 5th time this year.
Well, Yellowstone National Park's Steamboat Geyser erupts for the 5th time in the last 6 weeks. Take a look. The U.S. Geological Survey says Steamboat began erupting about 6:30 a.m. Sunday and lasted about 12 hours. The experts say this level of activity hasn't happened since the 1980s.
Steamboat Geyser, the world's tallest active geyser, just erupted again. Now, this is what it looked like when the geyser erupted in 2014, which was the most recent eruption. No activity for 3.5 years, but that has changed. Yesterday's eruption was the 3rd in just 6 weeks.
Supervolcanic eruptions have had some devastating effects on our planet and all those...
And remember, this was over a month ago, man. A lot has happened just in the past couple weeks. All right, there have been a lot of volcanoes that have gone off recently, man. Okay, and we got a major blood moon coming July 27th to the 28th. Okay, which, if you remember the scriptures, it goes into... well, actually, I can get it. Before I get this... Joel chapter 2, verse 28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions. And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. And I will shew wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. Okay, so there was blood rain. Rivers are turning into blood. The blood rain was like a week ago, I think. All right. Fire. There's been forest fires happening for quite some time now. And pillars of smoke. A pillar is a column, man. That sounds like a volcano to me. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of Yahweh come. Right?
Experts at NASA are working on some risky strategies to prevent one from happening, since we may be on the brink of one erupting very soon. And when NASA experts analyzed the problem, they thought the most logical solution would be to cool the volcano down. NASA has a plan to drill a hole into the side of the volcano and pump water through it. When the water comes back out, it'll be heated to over 600 degrees, slowly cooling the volcano. The team hopes that given enough time, this process will take enough heat from the volcano to prevent it from ever erupting.
On this Monday night, we are going to begin.
Which, another thing you need to understand is they don't control shit. Okay, they can't do anything to stop, they call it natural disasters, but Yahweh can have the super volcanoes and all sorts of tornadoes, earthquakes. They can't stop that from happening because they have no control over that. But Esau tries to be God. All right, now this is a perfect picture. That looks like a pillar to me, man. A pillar of smoke.
With a disaster unfolding in Guatemala, where the volcano of fire has erupted. It is a humanitarian crisis in the making in Central America. Rescuers are trying to pull people to safety, but more than 62 have been killed, and that toll is expected to go much higher.
A 5.5 magnitude earthquake is among hundreds of new quakes that continue to rock the summit of Hawaii's Kilauea volcano. They are raising concern about another large explosion.
Hawaii's volcano emergency enters its fourth week tomorrow with the possibility of a major eruption at any moment.
Meanwhile, geologists say the main crater at Kilauea's summit has been expanding as more than 500 earthquakes shook the area over a 24-hour period. Lava is now covering more than 7.5 square miles, almost 6 times as big as New York Central Park.
All right, so, I mean, and those have only gotten worse because, once again, that was over a month ago. So there are a couple more volcanoes have gone off, and the Hawaii volcanoes have definitely been increasing quite a bit. So let's turn to Matthew chapter 24. And if you can't see that we're in the last days, and maybe not literally the last days, but I'm saying, you know, shit could hit the fan, hell could break loose any day, man. Okay? America could get destroyed, you know, very soon. Okay? Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right? And that's been happening for quite some time now. For nation shall rise against nation, which is race wars. All right? Because there's 18 nations in the Bible. And kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay? Beginning of sorrows. Keep that in mind. 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 17. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. All right, and with these trade wars, because America's in a trade war with China and some other nations, even in the EU, all right, and these eventually are going to backfire on America, and because America's trying to pick fights with many countries, and those countries are going to come back and bite them in the ass, man. So eventually gas prices, which are already rising, they're going to get so high where truckers are going to go on strike most likely. And just like that, there's going to be famines, man. Okay? And most of the people are completely unaware of this. All right? Even these Christians that think they understand the Bible, they don't. Okay? Because like Amos says, let me get that. Amos chapter 5 verse 18, Woe unto you that desire the day of Yahweh, to what end is it for you? For the day of Yahweh is darkness and not light, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of Yahweh be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? All right, and you Christians think that it's going to be good for you, man, but you're going to get destroyed. Okay? So, Adawan Ratazah, this was edifying to the elect. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone Roel. Peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful elect of Israel. Shalom.